Hi, so now we're going to work on compound rates. The size of the patient times the order is the dose. So we've already talked about this, I believe, but just in case. So there's the dose is going to be dose times weight. The dose would be, for example, 2 micrograms per kilogram, but the weight is 100 kilograms. So you wouldn't give the patient just 2 micrograms because you want to give that for every 200, for every kilogram of how much they weigh. So this patient, if you weigh 100 kilograms, then you multiply it by 2 micrograms per kilogram, and you would give that particular patient 200 micrograms. If your patient weighs something else, you decide how much to give them based on their body weight. Or here, if there were 2 microgram per kilogram per minute, when you have 3, then you put those 2 in the bottom. So that way, when you cancel out the units here, you're left with micrograms per minute is labels. So same thing. So if we have the prescriber ordered 250 milliliters of dextrose, 5% dextrose in water with 60 milligrams of a drug, 0.006 milligrams per kilogram per minute IVPB daily. The patient weighs 75 kilograms and the drop factor is 20 drops per milliliter. We're going to calculate the flow rate for this drug in drops per minute. So it says calculated in drops per minute. That's our end goal. So I'm going to look for something with drops in it. And when I look up here, I have 20 drops per milliliter. So I'm going to start with that. 20 drops per milliliter. And the reason why I started with that is so that drops would stay on top with drops. So all I have to do is change the bottom out until it gets to minutes. So I'm going to put milliliters here. Then I'm going to look up for something that they give me with milliliters in it. And when I look, I see 200 milliliters with 60 milligrams. So I have 250 milliliters with 60 milligrams. When I cancel my units, I'm left with milligrams, but I need it in minutes. So I'm going to times with milligrams up here. Then I'm going to look for something with milligrams, and I see 0.006 milligram per kilogram per minute. So I'm going to say 0.006 milligrams per kilogram minute. And then I can cancel my milligrams. But then when I answer it, if I answer it, my units will be a drops per kilogram minute, but I just want the minute, so I have to get rid of the kilograms. So I look back up here and I say that this person weighs 75 kilograms. And when I cancel the kilograms, then I'm left just with minutes, which is what I need. So I'm going to do the calculations. I'm going to do 20 times 250 times 0.006 times 75, and then I'm going to divide by 60. And you get 37.5 drops per minute. Oops, 37.5 drops per minute. However, you can't have drops not in whole numbers, so it'll be 38 drops per minute. Sweet. What's next? So the patient weighs 80 kilograms and must receive dopamine hydrochloride at the rate of 3 micrograms per kilograms per minute. How long will it take the patient to receive 50 milligrams of this drug? Well, I'm looking for a time. How long? So the time will be time on top with nothing in the bottom. And if I look at this, the only time that I see is 3 microgram per kilogram minute. However, it would be 3 microgram per kilogram minute. But I need that minute on top, so I'm going to flip that fraction. So per every kilogram minute, I need 3 micrograms. And that will give me a time on top, but I have to get rid of the kilograms and I have to get rid of the micrograms. So you can get rid of it any way you want. I'm going to try and get rid of the kilograms first. And if I look, it says the patient is 80 kilograms. There's nothing to go on top. I'm just going to put a 1 there. So my kilograms can cancel. And I know there's nothing that goes on there because there's no linking word by near the 80. Like 0.2 width per 4 in. So I can just leave it like that. But now it's in minutes per microgram, but I need it in just minutes. So I have to multiply it by a microgram. And here I have 50 milligrams. So I know that 50 milligrams, though, is 50,000 micrograms. So I'm going to say times 50,000 micrograms. When I get rid of my micrograms, then I'm done. And I'm going to do the math then, and I have 50,000 divided by 3 is, and then divided by 80 is 208. So I have 208, but I need a time, and my time is in minutes. Now remember that anything over 60 minutes, you want to put into time with hours and minutes. So I am going to, I'm actually just going to delete this because we don't need it. Okay. So your time is 208 minutes. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do, I can do one of two things. 208, I'm going to put 60 in there. So 6 goes into 20 3 times, which is 18. Since it was 60, this is going to be 180. And the difference is going to be 28. So it's 3 hours and 28 minutes. So 3 hours, 28 minutes. Now there is another way to do it. If you don't like that, you can take your 208 minutes and convert it into minutes and hours by timesing it by 60 minutes in an hour. So it would be 208 divided by 60, and it'll be 3.4667. So 3.47 hours. Always go out to the hundredth with this, because then it'll give you a more accurate number. So it will be 3 hours, and then you have 0.47 hours over 1. That's not 47 minutes, because if it was 0.5, it would have been 30 minutes. So you can't say that 0.47 is a half an hour or 30 or 45. Ugh, you can't say it's 47 minutes. You have to change just that part of that fraction of an hour into minutes. So I have 60 minutes is in an hour. And when I multiply that, I get 0.47 times 60, and I get 28.2 minutes. So you're going to round that to just 28. So it's 3 hours, 28 minutes. So the first way is the most accurate way. The second way, you just have to round at the end. You have to round to the nearest hundredths, get it back into minutes, and then round at the end. Don't say 0.2 at all minutes. It's not okay. All right. And then the next thing was titrations, but there's a whole nother video on titration, so I'm going to skip that part. I'm going to skip this part. Is that it then? And that looks like it's it. That is it. So there's another titration video that you can watch. This was just the IV dosage rates. All right. Have an awesome day. Good luck.